we'd forgotten that these people, these combatants we call Yugoslavs, were first and foremost Serbs, Slovenes, Croats, or Montenegrins, Christian or Muslim, Catholic or Orthodox. We'd forgotten that it was here that the First World War erupted. We'd forgotten that the name of Yugoslavia had served to obscure those of 6 republics: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia with its 2 autonomous regions called Vojvodina and Kosovo, and then Montenegro and Macedonia. Prior to 1914, Serbia and Montenegro formed a single kingdom that was allied to Tsarist Russia. Slovenia and Croatia were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, whose annexation of Bosnia-Herzegovina led to the assassination at Sarajevo of the Austrian Archduke by a Serb, and hence to the First World War. The post-war settlement at Saint-Germain near Paris determined the frontiers of the kingdom of the Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, southern Slavs placed under the rule of the King of Serbia, Alexander I, who also ruled over Montenegro, Vojvodina, and Kosovo. Already within this first Yugoslavia, there were Serbs who dreamed of a greater Serbia ruled from Belgrade, and Croats who dreamed of federation and autonomy. Already the first schism. Croat deputies in parliament railed against the excesses of Serb centralism. In 1928, here, a Serb deputy killed 2 deputies of the Croat peasants, and their leader, Radic. The funeral saw the appearance of flags and emblems of Croatian nationalism. The Croat deputies walked out of parliament, and soon afterwards the seeds of terrorism were sown with the formation of the Ustašis, the Croatian nationalists rebelling against royal and Serbian dictatorship. In 1934, the 9th of October, Marseille. Alexander I, smiling and unguarded, has only a few minutes left to live. He is shot down by an Ustaši. The king's body is returned to Belgrade by train. His son Peter is still too young, and so his cousin Paul, another Serb, is appointed regent and travels to Berlin. In the Nazi capital, shy and ill at ease, Paul has the air of a country cousin seeking the assurance of his powerful protector, Adolf Hitler, supremely confident in the exercise of his power and the sway of his charm. With Hitler behind him, Paul feels stronger. But 3 years later, he is overthrown in a coup and replaced by Pierre, the legitimate heir to the throne and a friend of the British. Hitler wastes no time. He calls a meeting of his allies. Soon after, in a train somewhere on the border, Boris III, Tsar of Bulgaria, Chano, Mussolini's son-in-law, Admiral Horthy, the Hungarian regent, and Hitler share the Kingdom of Yugoslavia among themselves. Slovenia is occupied by the Germans and Italians. Serbia goes to the Germans. Kosovo to the Italians. And Vojvodina is shared between the Hungarians and the Germans. Macedonia is given to Bulgaria. Montenegro is placed under a puppet administration, and Croatia, which absorbs Bosnia-Herzegovina, is at last granted its autonomy. April 1941, with Germany and its Italian allies occupying Slovenia and Greater Serbia, sees the return of Ante Pavelić to Zagreb. Pavelić, Croatian nationalist and friend of Mussolini, has spent the last 10 years heading and organizing Ustashi terrorism. On his return, Ante Pavelić enters the parliament in Zagreb and proclaims Croatia an independent sovereign state allied to the Third Reich. Greater Croatia. Now, in the Serb-inhabited regions of Knin and Vukovar, the Ustashi army arrests, kills, or deports large numbers of Jews, Gypsies, and above all Serbs. The only hope of escaping death or deportation, even for women and children, lay in renouncing their religion and accepting baptism. As many as 700,000 people may have died. Not all Croats were Ustashis, but the memory of this genocide was to haunt the Serbs of Yugoslavia for years. Serb officers and patriots organized the resistance in Croatia. Seeking refuge in the mountains, sheltered by the populations under their protection, the Chetniks fight fire with fire, atrocity with atrocity. Each side in turn visits sudden, violent death on the other. The Chetniks are not just anti-Croat, but also anti-communist. The partisans, too, are their enemies. As elsewhere, the Yugoslav partisans are a loose alliance of communists, nationalists, unaligned resistance, and anti-fascists, forming a huge, powerful army hidden in the mountains. Their leader, Josip Broz, known as Tito, is General Secretary of the Communist Party and has spent the past 20 years in clandestinity. Of working-class origin and part Croat, part Slovene, Tito has formed a National Liberation Council with representatives from every region. His ambition, once the war is over, is to create a federal state that will place Yugoslavia's disparate peoples on an equal footing and allow them to maintain their identities. War comes to an end. King Peter abdicates. Tito's vision prevails, and on November 29, 1945, he becomes the first president of the Republic of Yugoslavia. The state's slogan is Brotherhood, Unity. Reconstruction begins. The settling of accounts, too. Fascists and collaborators are shot. 100,000 Ustashis are executed, but Chetniks die too. Brotherhood and unity in communism is the order of the day. Serbs, Slovenes, and Croats fade into the background. Communists come first. 23 of them in a government of 28 ministers. In 1948, Tito, the only Eastern Bloc leader who owes none of his power to Moscow, breaks with Stalin. A propaganda film shows the leader making his crucial decision. The man of Providence.
Krvi prolili za bratstvo i jedinstvo naših naroda. I nećemo nikome dozvoliti da nam dira ili da nam ruje iznutra da se ruši to bratstvo i jedinstvo. Nijedna naša republika ne bi bila niko i ništa da nismo svi zajedno. A mi moramo stvarati svoju istoriju. svoju jugoslavensku socijalističku istoriju jedinstvenu.
Tito died at Ljubljana. Like that of his former adversary, Alexander I, Tito's body traveled by train to Belgrade. Crowds thronged by the side of the track to see him pass. Indira Gandhi. Leonid Brezhnev. Margaret Thatcher. Nicolae Ceausescu. Sandro Pertini. Willy Brandt. The emotion is unfeigned. Behind them, a huge crowd is also riven with emotion. They know that the dream is ending, and that they must wake to economic crisis, sectorial disputes, and ethnic rivalry. Tito left behind him a country of great complexity, a mosaic of peoples scattered among 6 republics. Each republic had its own local government with a president, and the 6 presidents formed a collective federal presidency, each president in turn serving as head of the Yugoslav state for a year. There were significant differences and inequalities among the republics. Slovenia was well off and relatively homogeneous, with a population 90% Slovene. Serbia comprised 66% Serbs, 20% Albanians, and the 2 autonomous provinces. Vojvodina, in the north, had 56% Serbs, 22% Hungarians, and 7% Croats. And Kosovo, in the south, was home to an 85% population of Albanians, with only 10% of Serbs. Kosovo was nevertheless the Serbs' ancestral homeland. In Macedonia, 67% of the population was Macedonian, 20% Albanian. In Montenegro, The proportions were 70% Montenegrin, 6% Albanian, and 13% non-Albanian Muslim. Bosnia-Herzegovina was a particularly even spread, with 33% Serbs, 40% Muslims, and 20% Croats. In Croatia, the Catholic Croats formed a clear majority with 75%, with a 12% minority of Serbs. It was here, in Kosovo, only a few months after the death of Tito, that the first disturbances arose. On April 1st, 1981, a Serbian Orthodox church is set on fire, sparking a wave of demonstrations and riots. The Albanians demand that their province be upgraded to republic status. Their main grievance is high unemployment. More than half of the Albanian population is under 20, and half of the working age population is out of work. A dozen people are killed in the ensuing clampdown. Franjo Tuđman, age 58 at the death of Tito, a Croat and wartime companion of Tito who rose to the rank of general. Twice tried and imprisoned for his nationalist convictions, leader of one of Croatia's nationalist parties. Slobodan Milosevic, 40 at the time of Tito's death, a Serb, rose through the ranks of the Serbian Communist Party. Milan Kucan, a Slovene who also owes his position to his party career. All three are to play a major role in the Yugoslav crisis prior to the outbreak of war on June 27, 1991. On May 24, 1987, Milosevic attends a meeting in Kosovo with Azam Vlasi, the ethnic Albanian local Communist Party chief. For the past 6 months, the Albanian population have been demonstrating for Republican status. Disturbances and rumors have fueled panic and flight among the Serb minority. Milosevic, president of the Serbian Communist Party, has mounted a campaign against the party's old-style leaders and their bureaucratic procedures. He pledges to solve the problems of the Serbs in Kosovo in 2 months.
Ja sam se rukovao sa vama, nisu mi dali poziv. Ajde sa nama. Molim, sa vama da vam kažem sve istinu. Ti toga borca gurali, tukli, bili žene, decu. Ne pite se unutra, između nama baca kamenicu, a mi tučeni bili. Druže predsjedniče. Doktor! 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 Treće što vam predlažem, sami održavajte red, nije potrebno da milicija održava red. Predsjedniče! Predsjedniče! Drugovi! Samo da kažem ja! A gdje ćeš ti, bre? Mi vas poštujemo kao predsjednika, dogovorili smo se da se vidimo danas, vi ste sami rekli. Vi kao predsjednik, kako možete da dozvolite da se diže palica na ovaj narod? Mi, dozvolite, molim vas, dozvolite, dozvolite samo da vam kažem. Mi ne palimo, ne lomimo, ne vrištimo, ništa ne radimo, stojimo i čekamo dalje upućenje šta ćemo i kako ćemo da čujemo, da znamo.
The Serbs once again claim that the Albanians have been committing rapes, desecrating Orthodox cemeteries, sabotaging crops. Rumors? Facts? No one knows for sure. But feelings are running high among the Serbs of Kosovo. Incidents and demonstrations continue in the following months, here in Kosovo, but spreading also to Vojvodina, where local leaders demand greater autonomy and accuse Milosevic of acting like an imperialist. Milosevic's supporters take to the streets.
Hoćemo da idemo do Novog Sada da vidimo šta misle ovi drugovi funkcioneri. Da li hoće da bude jedinstvena Jugoslavija ili neće? Ili ćemo da je cepamo ili nećemo? Pa smo došli da vidimo sa njima, da porazgovaramo malo u Novi Sad.
Milosevic has supporters in Vojvodina and also in Montenegro, where they take up his slogans.
Izašao sam sa ovom slikom u rukama da jasno pokažem svima. Mi, radnici, se nismo krili za razliku od pojedinih drugova iza zidine i iza prozora. Nama danas ovdje govore da čekamo. Sada čekamo, čekali smo godinama. Od 81. godine čekamo smirenje na Kosovu. Ako su gluvi i ako ne žele da čuju, mi ćemo čekati sve do njihovih ostavki.
Se večeras održati sjednica predsjedničkog Krimskog komiteta i da ću ja, iako nisam lopov, iako nisam izdajnik, iako sam radio po svijesti i savjesti, podnijeti ostavku. Prema tome, nemate potrebe da čekate na te ostavke.
It's 1988. And here, as elsewhere in Eastern Europe, popular pressure is sweeping away many of the local leaders. In Belgrade, a plenum of the party central committee opens amid growing tension. Milosevic is arguing that Kosovo and Vojvodina must be placed under central Serbian administration. But his populist methods are giving rise to objections. Azem Vlasi, Albanian communist leader.
S obzirom na ciljeve i neki već poznati organizatora i manipulanata, pojava manipulacija od strane srpskih nacionalista i efekte koje imaju u političkoj javnosti, to nisu ni skupovi zajedništva i kao takvi objektivno štetni.
Pressure from Serb demonstrators leads to the replacement of local leaders in Vojvodina and Montenegro, while at the federal party level, Milosevic gains an advantage by means of manipulating a vote.
A druže Slobodane, to što si ti predložio, razmislite dobro. Razmislite dobro kojim ćete putom ići. Imate potporu, i ti lično. Ali posljedice takvog čina mogu biti u krajnjoj konsekvenciji negativne, ne samo za ovaj forum, nego i za Savez komunista Jugoslavije, za vas, drugove iz Srbije i tebe, druže Slobodane.
Belgrade, November 19th. 1.5 million demonstrators turned out for the biggest meeting ever seen here. This was the high point in a series of demonstrations held throughout the country for 4 months. The Serbs demanded Serbian control over the Albanians.
Dakle, bez obzira što se i danas kao nekad protiv Srbije udružuju njeni neprijatelji van zemlje sa onima u zemlji. Njima poručujemo da uopšte nismo plašljivi, da u svaku bitku ulazimo. Da u svaku bitku ulazimo sa namerom da je dobijemo.
Milosevic, now 47, appears to be the strongman that Yugoslavia has lacked since the death of Tito. In Kosovo, within hours, and despite the cold and the snow, the Albanians react and begin to demonstrate.
Najveća podrška
ako ostanete ovako ujedinjeni, bratimljeni, iz redova sviju naroda i narodnosti, a nama je posebna podrška ako to zajedništvo vidimo kod omladine i kod inteligencije.
Albanian leader Azim Vlasi is expelled from the Communist Party and arrested soon afterwards. In February 1989, also in Kosovo, 1,300 miners stage a sit-in at the coalface, 3,000 feet below the surface, demanding the resignation of the political leaders who they say are selling out the cause of the Albanians.
Konkretno tražim, neću mnogo da se državamo, mi tražimo ostavke naša predsjednik pokrajinskog komiteta druga Ramon Morinu, koja je radnička klasa, nema povjerenja na njega. I ne može on da živi između nas. Koji je malo pre bio gore i dao nam obećanje i nije ispunio to. I mi nismo izabrali. Ne znam ko je izabrali. To može samo gospodin Milošević da izabrali.
A tako će silom da vas izvadi drugi?
To može, to samo mrtvi može da izađemo to. Dok ne daju ovi drugovi ostavke, 1500 rudari ovdje smo, svi hoćemo da crkvimo ovdje.
Za ovo dana, već danas 4. dan kako smo u ovoj dubini zemlji, nikakvog kontakta sa familijom, niti ne znamo za njih, za mene ne znaju.
Up on the surface, the families are getting worried.
Šta djeca ke na poheć burli? As mi što mi kaljon, as kaljon I dor, as kaljon sen djet Allah skam. Hiç as kam dru, as kam mil, as kam kreb men gjys kam. Hiç kam ne përkëshive dal për marmil. Sen djet vëti som kaljon hiç tak kurjan. Hiç që një shkej në thën shkëll dov desh pa rrug. Rruga së bon. Sen djet Allah tjetër skam gjon djet Allah hiç çështo.
More than 600 miners suffer physical and psychological trauma and have to be given treatment in makeshift dispensaries set up in the mine. 30 of them are in serious condition and have to be taken to hospital. The sit-in is proving very hard on them. Finally, after 8 days, they emerge blinking to the surface, ill and deceived. Promises were made and will be broken. Meanwhile in Slovenia, public opinion is hardening around the case of the Mladina journalists facing trial for publishing military secrets. Demonstrations are organized, each serving to spread democratic, pro-independent, dissenting views. Support is expressed for the cause of the Albanians in Kosovo. Milan Kucan has become president of the Slovenian Communist Party.
Konec koncev se mi v Jugoslaviji nismo združili zaradi skupne zgodovine in zaradi etnične sorodnosti, kar seveda so vse elementi, tudi integracijski danes, ampak zaradi uspešnega projekta boljšega skupnega življenja. Če tega projekta ne bo, potem nobena sila Jugoslavije integrirati ne more. Ne partija, ne revolucija, ne skupna zgodovina, ne del skupne kulture, ne etnična sorodnost, ne vojska in ne policija.
The Serbs see Slovenia's support for the Albanians of Kosovo as a betrayal.
Svedoci smo veleizdaje Jugoslavije. Veleizdaja traje dugo I moramo staviti tačku. Ovaj miting nije anti-slovenački, anti-hrvatski, nego protiv njihovih vođa koji nisu to zaslužili. Treba da ih je sramota šta su juče govorili jugoslovenskoj javnosti iz Sankarevog doma.
Dosta nam je priče, zaključaka, dosta nam je konferencija. Zna se kako se postupa sa neprijateljima, mafijom i izdajnicima.
Milosevic, that same evening at Belgrade. Fraternity and unity go out the window. It's always the others who are nationalist.
Drugarice i drugovi, nema te cene i nema te sile koja može pokolebati rukovodstvo Srbije i građane Srbije u borbi za pravedne ciljeve. Ne čujem dobro, ali želim da vam odgovorim na ovo što tražite. Uskoro će biti objavljena sva imena. I želim da vam kažem da će oni koji su se poslužili ljudima da manipulišu radi ostvarenja političkih ciljeva protiv Jugoslavije biti kažnjeni i biti uhapšeni.
In Kosovo, a state of emergency is declared. Occupying forces carry out arrests, repression, and manipulation. Observe this scene closely in the Kosovo Parliament on March 23, 1989. Parliament is to vote on the Milosevic proposals, the revision of the constitution, and a strengthening of Serbian control. 167 votes for, and 10 against. Only 10 who look as if they don't know what's happening. And with good reason. Numerous deputies have been threatened and are not present. Others who are not deputies, like this man, have taken their place. His name is Ajeti. He is the brother of a leader who supports the authorities. This parliamentary sleight of hand causes a public outcry. Special troops and Federal Army forces are called in. This man, a soldier, refuses to obey.
Demokracija za celu Jugoslaviju! Demokracija! Demokracija!
Povraća na beli, muka mu nešto. Pa urlikao dosta.
Dobro, momci, vrlo dobro! Povrati nazad, molim vas, kad gazajte umjesto! Ide onaj, drži.
Slovenian television broadcasts sequences against the repression in Kosovo. 4 months later, Milosevic is elected president of the Republic of Serbia, despite the opposition of Serbia's new democratic parties. Serbia then sets up an economic embargo against Slovenia. In protest, on January 20th, 1990, at the 14th Congress of the Federal Communist Party, the Slovenian delegation walks out of the hall. This act, though it achieves its effect differently from the other countries of Eastern Europe, marks the end of Communist Party unity. This is the way, here, as you see it, that the Yugoslav Communist Party dies. A few days later, the Slovenian government withdraws its police units from Kosovo. In Belgrade, during the night of January 31st, the federal presidency holds an emergency meeting. 4 of the 6 republics vote against a military intervention in Kosovo. Serbia is supported only by Montenegro. In Kosovo, on March 22nd, there is a strange case of poisoning. More than 400 Albanian school children complain of nausea and breathing problems. They are rushed to hospital. Panic spreads as rumors abound and spreads across the province. But the Serbian doctors find nothing amiss and declare most strange this collective poisoning that just happens to break out in those towns where Albanian nationalism is strongest. April 1990. Slovenia, rising from a deep sleep, awakes to democracy. Slovenians set out to vote freely for the first time and find they have a choice of parties. Franz Buchar, candidate of the center-right opposition party, he becomes a parliamentary speaker, a man of the right. And a communist, Milan Kucan, becomes president of the Republic of Slovenia. National reconciliation is the order of the day. The Milosevic plan for a more centralized Yugoslav state is rejected. Kucan's winning design for Slovenia is for a confederal system opening on to Europe.
Geslo Evropa zdaj, Evropa jutri, za nas mobilizacijsko geslo, da strnemo vse naše napore za reformiranje teh področij našega življenja, ki jih preprosto je mogoče osredotočiti v formulo radikalne gospodarske, socialne in politične reforme. Te reforme potrebuje tudi Jugoslavija. Če bo Jugoslavija šla v to isto smer, potem ni razloga, da bi Slovenija šla v Evropo brez Jugoslavije. Če Jugoslavija to ne bo želela, potem bo pač Slovenija morala iskati možnosti in poti, da pride v Evropo sama.
In Croatia, meanwhile, the key words of sovereignty, independence, and confederation have also come into their own in that republic's first free elections. Franjo Tuđman, Tito's former general, twice sentenced for nationalism, revives the old dream of a Croatian state.
Pobornici hegemonističko-unitarističkih ili jugoslavensko-velikodržavnih shvaćanja vide u programskim ciljevima HDZ ništa drugo do zahtjeve za obnovom ustaške NDH. Pritom zaboravljaju da NDH nije bila samo puka kvislinška tvorba i fašistički zločin, već i izraz kako povijesnih težnji hrvatskog naroda za svojom samostalnom državom, tako i spoznaja međunarodnih čimbenika, u ovom slučaju vlade Hitlerove Njemačke, koja je na ruševinama Versajskoga krojila novi evropski poredak, tih težnji Hrvatske i njenih geografskih granica.
April 22nd, election night. 50 years of communist rule are brought to an end by Croat nationalism. Franjo Tuđman is elected president of the republic. And Stipe Mesic, jurist and deputy, like Tudjman imprisoned for nationalism, becomes prime minister with the task of drawing up the constitution of a sovereign Croat state.
Pa gledajte, Srbija je od svoje 8. sjednice Saveza komunista Srbije, pa poslije Miloševićevog govora na Kosovu, inaugurirala jednu politiku koja u stvari išla na rušenje Jugoslavenske federacije i na uspostavu dominacije Srbije. Ali sve druge su optuživali da ruše Jugoslaviju. Naime, mi smo imali model federacije s kojim nitko nije zadovoljan. I sad nudimo jedan konfederativni model koji je sličan modelu Evropske zajednice. I ako su evropske nacije, evropske države s tim modelom zadovoljne i vide mogućnost progresa svojih društava i svojih država, nema nikakvog razloga da mi ne prihvatimo taj model i s tim modelom uđemo u Evropsku zajednicu.
May 13th, 1990. The Zagreb-Belgrade football match is interrupted by violent fighting. Events have been speeding up. Slovenia is preparing for independence. In Serbia, the democratic opposition is fighting for free elections. Milosevic is now talking about changing the frontiers. The Serbian parliament dissolves the parliament of Kosovo. The federal presidency is powerless. In Croatia, in the region of Knin, tension is mounting among the mainly Serb population. Roads and access routes are cut off. The Serbs of Croatia dread a return of the Ustashi horrors. But election fever spreads, and here too the vote is for autonomy, for an independent Serb enclave within Croatia.
Potrebna nam je zato, jer gospodin Tudjman je osnovao ustašku vladu, oko njega su u Saboru sve ustaše. I mi to ne možemo podnositi. Ovdje kad pogledamo, da ćemo još jedan put ponovo imati to. Tu leži moj otac na toj ploči. Zapravo leži u zemlji. Da li ću morati ja i moji unuci, moji svi prijatelji končije. Mi to ne možemo dozvoliti po cijelu života.
Oni nam kažu nam da smo mi sa Kosovom. I spominje Kosovo. A šta Srbija daje Kosovo? Daje sva prava. A on nam ne daje ništa. I sad kad se kritikuje Slobodana Miloševića i okolo ljude, pametne ljude koji vode zrelu i pametnu politiku. Tako je. Jedno, a drugo napadi Jugoslavensku narodnu armiju za koju smo mi svi spremni, sutra ćemo se obući večeras, ako treba i sad ovog časa. Obućemo, smećemo petokraku i Titovku na glavu. I borit ćemo se svoje prava.
The mood of paranoia spreads to the parliament at Zagreb. A representative of the Serb minority is speaking.
Srpski narod u Hrvatskoj je čestit, pošten, radan, štedljiv narod, narod koji nikad nije dozvolio da ga ugnjetava. Hvala. To je pametan narod koji je ustao da zaštiti svoje ljudsko dostojanstvo, svoju djecu, svoj integritet građanina. To su ljudi koji se nikad neće složiti sa ustašoidnim režimom u kojem trenutno žive. Oni će se...
Ja moram upozoriti Tanjku, molim vas lijepo, ja vas upozoravam da nemate pravo uvrijeđati hrvatsku vladu. Imate pravo govoriti, nemate pravo vrijeđati. Nazivati hrvatsku vlast ustašoidnom je uvreda.
The parliamentary speaker intervenes and tries to calm down the Croat deputies.
Molim vas lijepo, gospodo, dozvolite Tanjgi da govori, a ukoliko bude vrijeđao hrvatsku vlast i Hrvatski sabor, ja ću mu oduzeti riječ.
Hvala.
Izvolite nastaviti.
Pošto su prethodnici, pošto...
The ghosts of the past are looming dangerously. Out of the public eye, arms are being supplied from official storehouses to Serb civilians, with the tacit approval of the Federal Army. Militias are being formed, Serb and Croat. The Croatian and Slovenian governments reject the legitimacy of the Federal Army and strengthen their police and civil defense forces while preparing to establish their own armed forces. In January 1991, Belgrade Television broadcasts this film prepared by military intelligence services, which accuses the Croatians of illegally importing arms. We see the Croatian defense minister and hear what is allegedly a conversation in which he was involved 3 months earlier.
Organizuje 2-3 čovjeka za likvidaciju najopasnije. Dobro, fizičku likvidaciju. Ustan, kurijer, pojavi se vratima, dum, i stiđe do ovdje. Oni ne traže policija da ona oprti stoji. Stiđe se eventualno dole, ide se kod drugog, odnosno istovremeno. Koji su najopasniji mogu biti ubijeni na sta vratima. Nije pitanje niti žena, niti djeca, ništa, to se ne pita.
Zna jedan, niko ne vidi. Prezent je bio ovakav. Pošto je bila kolona na našoj granici kolona bila. Da. Onda je otišao ministar koji niko ne pozna, sa diplomatskim pasošima, dao diplomatske pasoše, oni su otvorili rampu suprotno. I mi smo prošišali, niko nas nije vidio, osim tog ambasadora.
A concealed camera showed the general talking to 2 men said to be arms traffickers. General Spagel was called before a military tribunal in Belgrade, but the Croatian government dismissed all accusations and called it a provocation. The United States and Hungary, accused of providing arms, issued denials.
Mi imamo snage da se organizujemo, prostavimo. Jugoslavenska narodna armija mora istrajati na izvršenju naredbi predsjedništva. Jugoslavenska narodna armija je jedina koheziona snaga koja je u ovom trenutku sposobna i pozvana da izvrši svoje ustavne obaveze.
The Federal Army sends in tanks to Knin to restore law and order. At the same time, the federal presidency calls on the militias to disarm. In Zagreb, Tuđman speaks of a plot aimed at causing chaos and overthrowing democracy.
Događaji koji su se zbili danas u 3 općine, u Benkovcu, Kninu i Gračacu, nisu nas iznenadili. Mi smo znali za scenarij koji je pripremao metež u Hrvatskoj. Metež koji ide za tim da se obori demokratska vlast u Hrvatskoj, a potom i u Sloveniji.
In Belgrade, on Republic Square, Drasković, the Serb opposition nationalist leader, demands access to television and the resignation of the current leaders. He accuses them of dragging Serbia into civil war. Young people are there in force to express their discontent and their anger at 10 years of economic crisis. The demonstration rapidly degenerates.
Vivi
By nightfall, the tanks have taken over Belgrade. Draskovic is arrested. He is released 5 days later. Under pressure from demonstrators, the television management resigns. Borislav Jovic, the Serb federal president, fails to impose a state of emergency.
Obaveštavam javnost da nisam u stanju da budem saučesnik u takvim odlukama koje doprinose raspadu zemlje sa mogućim katastrofalnim posljedicama za naše građane i narode. Odlučio sam stoga da podnesem ostavku na dužnost, verujući da je to najpoštenije i u skladu sa mojom savješću.
It is the turn of Croatia's Mesić to succeed Jovic. The Serbians, the representatives of Vojvodina and Kosovo, and the Montenegrins oppose his succession. At the end of March, the presidents of the 6 republics begin a series of meetings to try to resolve the crisis. The federal state is in deadlock. Meanwhile, in Croatia, one incident follows another. At Plitvice, Vukovar, Split. In Slovenia, there are first clashes between Federal Army and Slovene units. At Maribor, the inhabitants encircle the barracks and prevent the Federal Army tanks from leaving. Somewhere along a road near to the Slovenian border, a young couple has recognized federal troops hidden in an ambulance who are trying to break the blockade.
Potem pa se obrnite nazaj. Ja, naši, vaši pa tam ni. Vaši so šli nazaj, vaši so šli nazaj, prosim, da tudi vi greste nazaj. Ker tukaj ne gremo. Tu malo ste lahko greste zvratno, ali pa na gor na most, vas bo držalo, pa se obrnite.
This is Slovenia, and no one is getting through. Elsewhere in Slovenia, an unarmed crowd brings an armored vehicle to a halt. You see the man who is attempting to climb onto the armored vehicle. He will be the first victim of the coming war. June 25th, 1991, Zagreb, the Croatian parliament. All the deputies are ringed round Franjo Tuđman and Stipe Mesić. They are celebrating Croatian independence. The power of the past has overcome the threats of the Serbians and the appeals of the European community and the United States. June 26, 1991, Ljubljana. Milan Kučan inaugurates the celebrations of Slovenia's independence.
Nikomor nismo nikoli delali sile. Zavračamo nasilje vseh oblik in namenov v razmerjih med ljudmi, med narodi in njihovimi državami. Demokracija, svoboda, spoštovanje človekovega dostojanstva in njegovih pravic, spoštovanje manjšin in doseljencev, odprtost in sodelovanje z drugimi. Tem vrednotam ostajamo zavezani za vselej. Silo kaže tisti, ki mu manjka argumentov in trezne presoje. Če je pristna njihova želja, da ostanemo skupaj, potem bolj nesrečne stvari, kot je orožje, niso mogli izbrati. Nocoj so dovoljene sanje. Jutri je nov dan.
A few hours later, the Federal Army enters Slovenia, and the war has begun.